What's this one called again?
It's called Brian's Weird Potato Roulade Thing, Italian Edition.
Welcome to Crocs in the Kitchen.
I am Jessica.
And I am Brian. Yes, we have a recipe for you today. It is probably one of the more complicated recipes that we have ever presented on this channel. But it's also one of the tastiest recipes that we've ever presented on this channel. And it all started because I'm a little crazy and I've been working kind of on developing a recipe like this for a few years now.
Yes, you may remember a long time ago, if you follow us on Instagram, I posted a video of this weird potato thing that Brian was making. And everyone was like, what the heck is that? And I was like, I have no idea, honestly. He's just experimenting. Well, this is what it became.
So it kind of just grew out of this idea that I had where I wanted to take potatoes and wrap stuff in with it and
meld them together into a tortilla, but not a tortilla.
Yeah, I don't know where I really got the idea, but then when I made it, and when I made it for the first time, of which it was a little bit smaller then, it was like about yay round. But when I first made it, Jessica was like, "You know what this is, right?" And I go, "What?" She goes, "It's a roulade." And I was like, "Really?" It's like, I don't even know what a roulade is.
Yeah, and then I was like, if we're gonna do this, we got to do this right. We got to make it like a substantial, thing, and we got to make sure that the little layers show through when you roll it all up and all that kind of stuff. You guys, we have made this recipe more than any other recipe that we've ever tested. We
went through a lot of variations.
We tried so many different variations, and then we finally landed on this one that we're presenting to you today, which is the best, and I can't wait for you guys to try it.
Yeah, so without further ado, let's get to cooking. For this recipe, you will need 3 to 4 small to medium-sized russet potatoes.
You'll also need ingredients to make an Italian sausage mixture, starting with sun-dried tomatoes, pumpkin seeds, and toasted fennel seeds.
As well as 1 can of black beans and half a cup of cooked black rice. If you don't have black rice, you can just sub out brown rice.
And we'll round that out with some tamari, Italian seasoning, onion powder, garlic powder, and cayenne.
And this next ingredient you may recognize from our previous recipe video, which is our tofu macadamia nut ricotta.
You know I like to throw in some kale whenever I can, and we have a whole other video showing you exactly how I prepped up this chopped kale.
And finally, we have some tomato sauce. Now you can use your favorite marinara if you want, or you can make our fancy tomato sauce.
All right, people, safety first. Make sure you wear the protective gloves when you use this dangerous device Brian's about to use.
Yes, I am using my mandolin slicer for this task because I need nice, evenly sliced potatoes. If you're measuring, it's between 2 and 3 millimeters per slice. But if you don't have a mandolin slicer, you can use a knife. Just try to make sure that they are nice and even, and that they still have the skin around the outside. It will help a lot towards the structural integrity of this dish. And there's nothing left to do except get to slicing. I
kind of die a little bit inside watching this footage because I feel like Brian is going to slice a finger off. They do make safety guard things as well, and you can use those, especially as you get close to the end of the potato. This is my safety warning for you guys. Please do not slice your hands off trying to cut potatoes for this recipe.
And behold, beautifully sliced potatoes.
And he still has 10 fingers.
Yay!
After that, you can just line a baking tray with some parchment paper, and then you're going to start creating your potato masterpiece. So you basically just want to kind of sort through the potatoes, remove any that you don't really like that might be too thin or kind of irregularly sliced. I like to kind of sort them into different sizes so that each row has one size of potato and layer them very precisely. There is sort of a method to the madness. There's a way that they specifically need to be layered in order for the structural integrity to be maintained in this recipe. So just layer them exactly as I'm doing here and all will be well. Isn't it such a beauty? I just love it. So this is where it gets a little bit weird. You're gonna take another piece of parchment paper and lay it on top of your potatoes and another baking tray of the same size. Hopefully you have two of the same size like we do, and put it on top.
After that, you will need to throw this into an oven that has been preheated to 375 degrees.
Just make sure you put it in the right way. Also, yes, you are baking this with two baking trays. Trust me, it'll all make sense in the end. All right, so while that is baking, Peef has been dying to use his new tiny pan that he got at Aldi. So we let him go ahead and help us toast up the fennel seeds for the Italian sausage mixture.
Essentially, just toss the fennel into a dry pan over low to medium heat and let it slowly, gently toast, stirring it constantly and making sure that it does not burn. If it burns, toss it out and start over.
Then we can move on to our food processor. So the first ingredient you'll add is the sun-dried tomatoes, and just process those for about 30 seconds. You're really just looking for those to get broken down into small pieces like this.
Then you can go ahead and add in the pumpkin seeds and the toasted fennel that Peef so lovingly toasted for us. And by Peef, I mean me. Peef just stood by and watched me do it.
You'll want to process that for about 60 seconds. You're just kind of looking for it to all incorporate and break down into a nice little fine texture.
Now that that's looking fine, you can add it to a mixing bowl where we will add the remainder of the sausage mixture ingredients. Okay, I'm going to jump in here with a note about black rice. I really like using black rice for these kinds of mixtures because they just have a meatier texture. They're a little bit denser. They've got great flavor, and also they're black, and so they kind of already look like chopped up meat. And it just trust me when I say, if you can use black rice, use black rice. But brown rice will work about as well.
If you go to the link that is in the description of this video, you'll be able to print out the recipe, and I've actually broken it down into each component. So you'll see a list of ingredients for the sausage mixture separated out in case maybe you want to use this sausage mixture in a different recipe. Just give that a quick stir before transferring it back into the food processor.
Then you just pulse it 8 to 10 times to kind of break down some of the black beans, but you leave a few intact. This just helps everything bind together and form a nice sausage mixture.
And you can set that aside and go back to your potatoes. So by now, maybe the 30 minutes is up, and you can pull it out and very carefully remove that top baking tray. You'll also want to very carefully remove the top layer of parchment. And then, ooh, steamy. Then you will put it back into the oven and let it bake for another 15 minutes uncovered.
And after those 15 minutes are up, you will have this gorgeous cooked potato thing.
Isn't it pretty? But we're gonna cover it back up with another layer of parchment paper. Save that one from before, and the baking tray, because we need to do a little bit of flipping here. So just flip it upside down, then remove the top tray, and then you're going to very carefully transfer it to the other tray and remove the top layer of parchment. The reason I flipped it is because you need this to be loosened up from the parchment when you roll it. You don't want it sticking or anything like that, but do be careful as you peel because you could, totally ruin the whole thing, and then this will be a big bummer.
And now we assemble this masterpiece. Go ahead and take the sausage mixture and scoop it onto the potatoes.
I like to just sort of dollop a bit here and there, and then honestly, it kind of helps to just get in there with either a spatula or your hands and spread it out into one even layer. You'll notice that I do leave a couple of rows unexposed at the end because I like to just have a little bit of extra for the roll. But after that, you're going to go ahead and add your ricotta. So again, this is the tofu macadamia ricotta we made in our last recipe video. So if you have any questions about how to make that, you can actually watch a completely separate video of that. But this stuff is tasty.
So just like the sausage mixture, you're going to add on the tofu macadamia nut ricotta mixture to form a nice even layer. Jessica really likes to use her cookie scoops because they're one of her favorite things to use. I don't know why. I would have just dumped it out and spread it out, but that's just me.
But it works so efficiently. Look at this. They're scooping out and they're like these nice scoops and you're having fun. And then you get to like spread it all into one layer.
Horribly inefficient.
After I inefficiently spread that ricotta around, I'm going to add my kale. I love you, Brian.
I love you too. I'm not seeing a lot of efficiency in spreading this around either.
I'm not really sure what I was doing, but I do know that this kale looks like it's kind of on its last leg, so maybe I was trying to remove some of the bad looking pieces. I'm not sure.
Either way, you are once again going to spread this out to a nice even layer.
And we promised you fancy tomato sauce. So once again, go to the recipe linked in the description below to get the recipe to make this amazing sauce. It's super quick, just takes a couple of minutes. And you're just gonna do a light coating of this and spread it on. You don't want it to be over sauced, and you wanna reserve some of that sauce to top your roulade with after it comes out of the oven.
And now for the super tricky bit. Jessica, that's all you.
Yes, when Brian decided he wanted to make a roulade, it was up to me to figure out how to roll this thing. So as you can see here, you can very gently use your parchment paper to roll it. This is a very stressful process, and it's also, sometimes starts to fall apart a little bit. You can kind of see there, but it always comes together in the end. I promise you, it always comes together in the end. You just have to be really careful and use your parchment to kind of scoot it along. This is also a good time for me to point out there is an incorrect way and a correct way to roll these potatoes. You'll notice if you start to roll them one way, they will not stay together. The other way, they will stay together. So you have to figure that out before you start rolling. And it takes a little bit of kind of, just stop and think about which way makes most sense, and you'll figure it out.
Just look at how beautiful that is. And we aren't even done yet. This needs to go back into an oven, once again at 375 for 15 minutes. Just look at that. But I think we can make it look even better. There you go. The nice, beautiful shots that Jessica always wants to show you guys. Isn't this just an amazing looking dish? I know it looks a little weird too. It's just gonna be that way. But this thing is it's so nice and it's so tasty, and it's gonna be one of those things that people are gonna be like, what is that?
It's intriguing. But wait, there's more.
Yes, you can slice this off and top it with a little bit more tomato sauce, and it just brings it up a whole other level.
All right, I think it's time to throw it back to those lunatics in the kitchen.
So, there you have it! My potato roulade thing.
It's a beauty, you guys. It may look a little unusual, but it's a beauty. And I love it. And I love how the layers turned out. And the only problem I have with this recipe is it's like one of the most anxiety-inducing ones that we do for me, because when we make it, we're making it for, I've been building up to making it to present as like photos and all that. And so I wanted it to be completely perfect. When you make it, you can just make it and make it,
It can be a little bit temperamental when it comes to rolling it up and when it comes to just making it all work. But trust me when I say it, even if it doesn't look pretty, it's going to taste amazing.
And we never had one that was like, oh, this one looks atrociously crazy. But it can be a little tricky with the rolling, as you guys probably saw from the video. But
yes.
Can we try this, please?
Yes, do it.
I'm dying to take a bite of this.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to get in. We probably should have got a knife.
Cut. There,
Or,
right there.
okay, you're better than, you're fine.
I just went straight down for it. Got some of them layers.
This is so good. Like, the layers,
Mmm. Mmm. It's just going to be silence from now on.
And we're done. The whole video's over.
It's so good.
That tofu, macadamia ricotta.
Almost makes me cry.
The meat mixture.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sauce. The sauce just makes it. Because we tried it without the sauce.
Yeah, it wasn't as good.
And then, of course, you know, I threw in the kale.
That's true. Every recipe I develop, she's like, let's throw in kale.
I'm always trying to sneak kale into everything. Why not? But it does add a nice element to this dish.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I can't describe this to people. It's just.
It adds a texture that's just so good.
Now,
trust me when I say that this is like a type of lasagna that is just so good. Like,
it's definitely like a decadent kind of special occasion meal.
Mm-hmm.
You really want to impress somebody, make them this, and they'll be like, oh, wow, you're really fancy. Serve it up with a nice, you know, salad, something light, because it is a bit heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But just try it. Just seriously try it. And if you noticed in the very beginning, I said this was Italian edition.
Yes.
What does that mean, Brian?
That means that this could very easily be adapted to other styles of cooking.
We've already thought of several other versions of this that we could try to experiment with. So,
And we are absolutely going to make those. But if you guys remember, you know, I said we were doing recipe testing and that can hinder weight loss. This is what I was talking about. Because we made this so many times. It's kind of ridiculous. And each time it was just like, I cannot stop eating this.
yes, it's
that
like
good.
really hard to stop eating, but it's seriously, this is the kind of recipe that will keep me on track with a whole food plant-based diet.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I know whole food plant-based food can taste this good and be this decadent and amazing, then like why would I eat anything else?
Absolutely. It's just fantastic. But subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and click the bell that is right next to it. You'll get notified whenever we post a new video. You can also find us on social media, mainly Facebook and Instagram, and you can message us on there and just generally see what is going on in our lives, because Jessica loves to post those Instagram stories. You can also give this video a like, give this video a share, and you can show people around the world, hey, look at this crazy thing these people made. And maybe that inspires some other people to join into the whole food plant-based community, or at the very least, give this recipe a try. But I think that's all I got.
That's definitely all I got.
We will see you next time on Crocs in the Kitchen.
Bye.
Bye.